If you're searching for the best Subaru SUV, you might think the answer is obvious. Maybe it's the Subaru Forester, maybe it's the Outback, or perhaps the Crosstrek. But here's the problem. Subaru's SUV lineup has changed dramatically for 2026. Because the best Subaru SUV isn't necessarily the most expensive one. It isn't necessarily the fastest one. And it definitely isn't automatically the newest one. The real winner has to balance reliability, practicality, safety, comfort, fuel economy, capability, ownership costs, resale value, and long-term confidence. And today, we're ranking the major Subaru SUVs. For snow, the best one for families, the best one for daily driving, the best one for adventure. So stay with me until the end, because number one may not be the Subaru you expect. Number 7. Subaru Solterra. Let's start with one of Subaru's electric SUVs. And before anyone gets upset, putting the Solterra near the bottom doesn't mean it's a bad vehicle. In fact, the 2026 Solterra is dramatically improved. For 2026, Subaru increased its range to as much as 288 miles, improved charging capability, and says it can charge from 10 to 80% in about 28 minutes under appropriate conditions. There's also standard symmetrical all-wheel drive, and the Solterra XT can produce up to 338 horsepower. So why isn't it our number one? Simple. Long-term ownership history. The Forester has decades of reputation behind it. The Crosstrek has years of real-world data. The Outback has been one of Subaru's signature products for generations. The Solterra simply hasn't had enough time to establish the same long-term reliability record. And that's particularly important if your goal is to keep your vehicle for 10, 15, or even 20 years. The 2026 Solterra is a much more compelling EV than the early version. But if your question is, what is the safest bet for a long-term Subaru SUV, I'd still choose one of the gasoline or hybrid models. If you're an EV buyer, however, the Solterra deserves a serious look, especially if you want standard AWD and a Subaru-style approach to winter driving. Number 6. Subaru Uncharted. Now we have something completely new, the 2026 Subaru Uncharted. This is a compact electric crossover with a very different personality. It has a fastback-like design, available all-wheel drive, up to 338 horsepower, and up to 308 miles of range depending on configuration. The base premium FWD model starts at $34,995, while Sport and GT models add dual-motor AWD and more performance. And here's something I really like. The Uncharted isn't trying to be a slow, boring economy EV. The AWD versions can deliver serious acceleration. You also get 8.2 inches of ground clearance, and Subaru offers X mode on appropriate configurations for low traction conditions. That's very Subaru. But again, there's a problem. It's brand new, and when you're discussing the best Subaru SUV, reliability history matters. There's simply no way to know how a brand new EV will perform after 150,000 or 200,000 miles. That doesn't make the Uncharted unreliable. It means the data isn't there yet. So I'd classify the Uncharted as an exciting new option rather than the safest long-term choice. If you want a modern electric Subaru with more than 300 miles of potential range, this is one of the most interesting vehicles in the lineup. But if you're buying primarily for proven reliability, I'd wait. Number 5. Subaru Trailseeker. Now we're moving into one of the most interesting new Subaru SUVs, the 2026 Subaru Trailseeker. This is essentially Subaru's answer to the question, what if you want an EV but still want serious Subaru capability? The Trailseeker uses dual electric motors producing 375 horsepower. It has standard symmetrical all-wheel drive. It offers 8.5 inches of ground clearance, and Subaru estimates more than 280 miles of range, depending on configuration. The premium starts at $39,995, and there's another advantage. The Trailseeker can fast charge from 10 to 80% in approximately 28 minutes, and Subaru says it has access to the Tesla supercharger network. That solves one of the biggest problems with many EV road trips: charging availability. But once again, we have to be disciplined. This is a brand new vehicle. We don't have a decade of owner data. We don't have hundreds of thousands of long-term examples, and we don't yet know how the battery, motors, electronics, and charging hardware will behave after years of hard use. So, if you're an early adopter, the Trailseeker is extremely interesting. If you're looking for the most reliable Subaru SUV for long-term ownership, however, the proven gasoline and hybrid models still have the advantage. Number 4. Subaru Ascent. Now let's get to a Subaru that families should pay very close attention to. The Subaru Ascent. This is Subaru's largest SUV, and if you need 3 rows, the decision becomes much easier. The Ascent can seat up to 8 people. It offers standard symmetrical all-wheel drive. It has up to 75.6 cubic feet of cargo space, and maximum towing capacity reaches 5,000 pounds. For a family living in a snowy state, that's a very attractive combination. You get 3 rows, you get AWD, you get plenty of cargo space, and you get Subaru's EyeSight driver assistance technology. The 2026 Ascent also earned an IIHS Top Safety Pick Plus award under the organization's tougher 2026 criteria. But the Ascent isn't perfect. It's larger and heavier than the Forester and Crosstrek. Fuel economy is lower, and Consumer Reports' 2026 reliability data puts the Ascent at the bottom of Subaru's current lineup, with average predicted reliability. That's not a disaster, but when we're trying to identify the most reliable Subaru SUV, it's an important distinction. The Ascent makes the most sense when you actually need 3 rows. If you don't need 3 rows, I'd rather save money, reduce weight, improve fuel economy, and buy a Forester or Outback. But for a large family, the Ascent is absolutely worth considering. Number 3. Subaru Outback. Now we're entering the top 3, and this is where things get difficult, because the Subaru Outback is arguably the most versatile vehicle Subaru makes. The 2026 Outback is now in its 7th generation, and Subaru has moved the design in a more traditional SUV direction. It still maintains the core Outback philosophy: all-wheel drive, large cargo area, excellent visibility, high ground clearance, and strong long-distance comfort. The standard Outback has 8.7 inches of ground clearance. The Wilderness raises that to 9.5 inches, and certain trims can tow up to 3,500 pounds. That makes the Outback incredibly versatile. You can drive it to work Monday through Friday, take it on a 500-mile road trip Saturday, and drive down a forest road Sunday. It's one of those vehicles that can replace several different vehicles in your garage. And the Wilderness takes that formula even further. More clearance, more rugged tires, more off-road capability, more towing capability. But there's a trade-off. The Outback is bigger than the Crosstrek. It's more expensive, and depending on the configuration, it can be more expensive to operate. For someone who spends most of their time commuting alone, it's probably more vehicle than necessary. But for an active couple, family, camper, skier, or road trip enthusiast, the Outback is outstanding. If I were choosing the best Subaru SUV for adventure, the Outback would be one of my first choices. But it's not number 1 overall. Number 2. Subaru Crosstrek. Now we get to the first serious contender for the title, the Subaru Crosstrek. And this little SUV might be the smartest purchase in the entire lineup. Why? because it gives you almost everything Subaru buyers love without making you pay for a larger vehicle you may not need. The 2026 Crosstrek starts at $26,995. It has standard symmetrical all-wheel drive. Ground clearance reaches up to 9.3 inches. And for 2026, the 2.5-liter engine with 180 horsepower is now standard across the lineup. That last change is important. Earlier Crosstreks were often criticized for feeling underpowered. For 2026, Subaru addresses that weakness by making the stronger 2.5-liter engine standard. Consumer Reports gives the 2026 Crosstrek an overall score of 83, with an 87 out of 100 road test score and a predicted reliability score of 78 out of 100. And Consumer Reports ranks it number 1 among the subcompact SUVs it tested. That's impressive. The Crosstrek also offers excellent visibility, a comfortable ride, strong fuel economy, and standard AWD. And the Wilderness version pushes the capability even further. You can get up to 9.3 inches of ground clearance and dual-function X mode. Cargo capacity reaches roughly 55 cubic feet with the rear seats folded, depending on configuration. So what's wrong with it? Space. If you regularly carry adults in the back seat, or you have a large dog, or you travel with lots of camping equipment, the Forester makes more sense. But if you want an affordable Subaru SUV for commuting, snow, light off-roading, weekend trips, and everyday life, the Crosstrek is hard to beat. And here's something important for used car shoppers. The Crosstrek is also one of the Subaru SUVs I'd keep an eye on in the used market. A well-maintained later-generation Crosstrek can offer an excellent combination of price, practicality, AWD capability, and reliability. So, why isn't it number 1? Because there's one Subaru that gives you more room without sacrificing the formula that made the Crosstrek so good. Number 1. Best Subaru SUV? Subaru Forester. Here it is. And this isn't just my personal opinion. Consumer Reports named the 2026 Forester its top compact SUV for the 13th consecutive year. That's an extraordinary run. The 2026 Subaru Forester also earned an IIHS Top Safety Pick Plus award under the organization's tougher 2026 testing criteria. And when you look at the actual vehicle, the reason becomes obvious. The Forester doesn't try to do one thing spectacularly. It tries to do almost everything very well. It's comfortable, it's practical, it's easy to drive, it's spacious, it's efficient, it's capable in snow, and it has excellent outward visibility. Consumer Reports gives the 2026 Subaru Forester an overall score of 86 with a 94 out of 100 road test score. Its predicted reliability score is 88 out of 100. That's one of the strongest numbers in the entire Subaru lineup. And this is exactly why the Forester is such a strong answer to the search term Best Subaru SUV. It works for so many different people. If you're a commuter, the Forester works. If you're a retiree who values visibility and easy entry, the Forester works. If you're raising a family, the Forester works. If you live where it snows, the Forester works. If you go camping on weekends, the Forester works. And if you're planning to keep your SUV for many years, that's where the Forester becomes especially attractive. Subaru says 96% of Subarus sold during the last 10 years are still on the road. The company also points to the Forester's strong resale position among compact SUVs. Now, no vehicle is perfect. The 2026 Subaru Forester's naturally aspirated powertrain isn't going to impress someone looking for sports car acceleration. Consumer Reports specifically notes that the vehicle can feel underpowered, and that's a fair criticism. The Forester isn't about speed. It's about confidence. It's about visibility. It's about comfort. It's about getting through a snowy morning without worrying whether your vehicle can handle it. And it's about having an SUV that makes sense 5 years from now. That's why it takes the #1 spot. But let's make this even simpler, because the best Subaru SUV overall isn't necessarily the one for you. What if you don't want to buy a brand new Subaru? What is the best used Subaru SUV to buy? For used buyers, I would focus heavily on the Forester, Crosstrek, and Outback. But don't just buy the cheapest example you can find. Maintenance history matters. A Subaru with 90,000 miles and excellent maintenance can be a much smarter purchase than a neglected vehicle with 60,000 miles.